My name is Amanda Pacheco, and I am a real estate agent with Strong Pro Realty in Omaha, Nebraska. And I also work closely with Dreamscape Homes, a custom home builder in the area. I also recently just obtained my Class C contractor's license, and I've had some encouragement from some of my colleagues at the Strong Pro office about breaking down the misconceptions that are associated with building a custom home. So I thought it would be helpful to break down a new build step by step to help eliminate the fear of the unknown. So let's get started. On our website, dreamscapehome.net, we have a Contact Us tab, which, when filled out, members of our team are notified. This will prompt us to reach out for an initial meeting with the buyer. And in this meeting, we are discussing the wants and needs of the customer's new home. This includes things like how many bathrooms and bedrooms, the style of the home, location, layout, and of course, pricing. Our most popular floor plans are on our website, most of which can be modified. And if none of those are checking the boxes, then we can definitely start from scratch. Before we begin working with our architect, we do collect a $1,000 deposit that will be applied to the total earnest deposit of $5,000. As our design phase continues, our builders will work directly with the architects to communicate any changes prior to the blueprints being drafted. Once we do have the final set of prints, we will set a meeting up with the buyers to go over them in detail, along with having them sign off on the plans. At this time, we also collect the remaining $4,000 earnest deposit. Our office manager will then submit the plans to the city for our permit, along with the HOA if necessary. Typically, this phase takes between 4 and 8 weeks. Once our permits are issued, the job will enter the queue. And during this time frame, unfortunately, there is not a lot for the client to be working on. However, for informational purposes, let's keep moving forward. Our first step will be getting the lot staked. This will show how the home will sit on the lot. Next, we dig the trenches for the footings and the rebar is placed. We are inspected on this work by the city, and after passing the inspection, the footings are poured, and this is all typically done in the same day. Forms and rebar will be set for the foundation walls soon after the footings are completed. Another really important step in the build is waterproofing. It is our job to ensure that water moves away from the home, and we take the necessary steps to do this by installing drain tile. We also apply tar to the concrete to seal it, and we also do have a sump pit included with all of our builds. Once the foundation has had a chance to cure, we will go back and backfill, and this is a week or so after the foundation is poured and waterproofed. Our next step will be to have the ground plumbing installed, or the home's waste lines. Once completed, we will have to get the city inspector back out to inspect the work that's been completed. After passing inspections, the concrete team will head back out to the job site to finish the remaining flat work, which includes your basement floor and also the garage. One thing to note is flat work is weather permitting, so the timing of this can vary from job to job. Our framers have also joined the job site, and this is quite literally where the house begins to take shape. At this time, the customer is also emailed the selection sheet, which I'll go over in more detail later on. Following framing, the roof will be completed. Windows and exterior doors are installed along with the siding. So the next step in this project will be to have our plumbers come back out to the property, and they will be installing the plumbing rough-ins, which include all of your hot and cold water pipes and gas lines for any future appliances. The pipes will be capped off until they're ready for their fixtures. Our electricians will also be on the job site getting their rough-ins installed as well. This includes things like mounting junction boxes, setting up the electrical panel, and the overhead service wire. The wiring is not connected to any devices, outlets, or switches at this time. And we also have the customer walk the property with the electrician to include any electrical features such as a car charging port or under cabinet lighting. Before we continue on though, we have to pass inspections on the above mentioned rough-ins and also pass a framing inspection. The framing inspection is done after the rough-ins, just in case there was any modifications to the framing to accommodate for the rough-ins. When we get the okay to proceed forward, the home will get insulated, and depending on where we're building, there may or may not be an inspection. Following the insulation, the drywall team will get to the job site and will be there for 2 weeks or so. For this segment, I thought it best to switch gears a little bit. Back when the project was in the framing stage, I had mentioned that it would be at this time that the customer would receive their selection sheet. So let's look into that a little bit more. The selection sheet has our vendors listed in the order in which they should be made. Who to call and their contact number is also listed. And essentially what will happen is the customer will reach out directly to our vendors and make appointments to select everything: interior doors and trim, countertops, flooring, cabinets, paint colors, light fixtures, plumbing fixtures, door handles, everything. And while that seems like a lot and super overwhelming, we have a great team in place that we have worked with for many years that we know will be able to help get you to that finish line. Inspirational photos are so helpful during this stage, and the quicker that selections are made and signed off on, the quicker we can get a schedule put together, which also includes a closing date. Overages and selections go hand in hand, so I thought it would be helpful to go over how Dreamscape handles those. Before any finished materials are ordered, the customer will be required to sign off on their selections, and it's at this time that they will be made aware of what, if any, their overages are. Some vendors do require payment to be made directly to them prior to them ordering any materials. However, for the vendors that don't require payment ahead of time, Dreamscape will receive the bills from our vendors for any unsatisfied overages. We will pay the overages, but the customer will be required to pay us back prior to closing. If the customer does want to finance their overages, they most certainly can. That would be something they would need to speak to their lender directly about. And if financing the overages, the amount paid would be added to the original $5,000 earnest deposit. Thus far in the project, the selections have been finalized by the customer, and at the actual job site, we ended with drywall finishing up. Our trim carpenter will be on site getting the door cases installed, the doors hung, build any benches, getting the cabinets up, building out all of our closets and the pantry. When our trim carpenter finishes, the painters will be next in line to get the first coat of paint on the walls, get any cabinetry painted or stained, and also get all of the interior doors and the baseboards or trim taken care of at that time as well. Following the first round of paint, we will move on to the tile work that will need to be completed. The countertops will also be dropped at this time along with appliances to have them installed with the plumbing fixtures and light fixtures. The door and cabinet hardware are installed at this time. Any hard surface flooring will be completed at this time. We will have the painters come back out for their final coat of paint, and then lastly, carpet. And it's really during this time that the project changes quickly, and it's so fun to see all of the finishes come together and quite literally see the house become a home. Exteriorly, the house has been sided and any brick or stone has also been completed. Some exterior work is weather permitting, like sod, sprinklers, and paint, which may be completed after closing. When the plumbers, HVAC team, and the electricians have finished their finish work, we will call a city inspector out to make sure that all of those areas have been completed per code. Once we do have that stamp of approval, we will call another person from the city for them to come out and do one final inspection to give us our certificate of occupancy, which is required for closing. At this point, the physical construction of the house is 100% completed, and now it is just time for detail work. The first step will be to have the house deep cleaned. The builder and the foreman will physically walk the property to search for any flaws that might need to be corrected prior to closing. A team is sent in to make those adjustments, and the foreman will go back out to the property, this time with the customers, to do the same thing. During this extensive walkthrough, they're trying to locate any flaws that may have been missed during the first walkthrough. And they're also going over how their new home works. All detail work is finished a day or two prior to closing, and just like that, your home's ready. I know there was a lot of information that was thrown at you guys very quickly, so if you have any questions about anything, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is amanda@strongprorealty.com.